What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Full Experience. Another great edition for y'all tonight. We got Miss Karyn Jeneen with us tonight, and we got a treat for y'all tonight. She's going to go over one, what it means to coach people in their business, how they excel in your business, and how to scale up. And then also we got my boy Dawood tonight. Y'all already know Dawood from episode. Ooh, what episode was that, Dawood? That was a big
man.
one.
That was like. Was we in the 30s?
I want to say it's like 34.
Yeah, I think like 34. Yeah. Yep. So we got him back.
If you want to say that.
And we appreciate coming out tonight, being guest calls.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Marquita and Nikki. We know y'all doing y'all thing, so we'll see how y'all get back, okay? But introduce everyone to yourself tonight.
So, as Brandon said, I'm Karyn Jeneen. I'm a financial development consultant. And I have a leadership focus. So while financial development consultant sounds like I focus on the finances, what I actually do is I focus on the leader. So I'm more of an inside out in the business and in the person. So the reason I focus on the leader is because transformational leadership means that the leader has to know how to lead and follow while they're out impacting and influencing those that they serve.
Yeah.
So I make sure that the leader is developed and knows how to run a corporate style business, and then they can grow from there. Because many people, they want to, buzzwords, live a legacy, build generational wealth, have financial freedom, but the type of leader that they are is not going to get them there.
That's good.
So financial wealth needs you to be a better leader.
Ooh. Tell the episode, by the way. Let's I'll put that out somewhere. But I always like to start our show off with the origins. Like, where did you start? 'Cause I'm pretty sure when you were in grade school, you didn't say I want to be a financial consultant, work for business or whatnot. Where did it all begin for you?
So where it all began for me is I've always been an observer of people. I have observed people just kind of looking at what it is that they do, how they behave. Before I even kind of, said a word, people would ask me my name and I would recite ABCs because I'm probably just like enamored just looking. One of the books that I read before becoming a parent was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So just kind of keep that in the background as I continue my origin and my why. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I had a new baby. And I'm first time mom. And one of the things, I'm big on education, I'm big on reading. I kind of say I'm kind of a secret nerd, if you will. But I absolutely love learning. So one of the things that I came across and, wanting to make sure that I'm the best mom that I can be, because they don't come with instruction books.
Not at all.
Is children learn what they live. And I can't remember who that poem or that book is by, but the premise of this poem is if a child sees or hears certain things, what the outcome of that would be. And so for me, it became important, like, okay, she's going to be watching. She's going to be hearing. So it's important for me to encompass that. So even from the time that she was in the womb, I wouldn't let people talk baby talk. She's a person. You're going to talk to her like she's a person. Use full sentences, use words, and communicate. And so from the moment that I knew that I was going to be a mom, I wanted to make a difference in a sense. So fast forward, she's here, and she's about 1.5, 2 years old. And just the thought of missing her first moments just made me sick to my stomach. I couldn't imagine somebody or going to the babysitters and, she stopped sucking her pacifier today, or she started walking and I wasn't there. So I knew that I wanted to have freedom. And of course, in corporate you have days off. You've got sick time, you've got vacation time. Well, I'm not going on vacation and I'm not sick. I just want a day off. I just want a day off to go breastfeed my baby if that's what I wanted to do for the day. Or I wanted to come in late because we had a bad night. Whatever the case would have been. And I didn't want to have to explain that every time and then be scrutinized or penalized for having to make that choice to choose my daughter. So I decided to go into entrepreneurship. I'm an accountant at the time, And one of my previous clients that I had was in real estate. And I did a lot of, I'm still observant.
Yeah.
I did a lot of hanging around, and the way that I worked with my clients back then, still the same way that I work with my clients now. I'm hands-on. I roll up my sleeves and I kind of get into it.
Yeah.
I need to know what your business is about. I need to know what your struggles are, because I'm constantly looking for ways to be more efficient, more effective, and more productive and profitable. Awesome. So being in the, spending a lot of time in the real estate companies, they convinced me they kept asking, why don't you, become a real estate agent? And I was like, no, I'm happy just kind of helping you all just do the thing. So when I was faced with this choice of, okay, you need time freedom, and you need to do it in a way that you kind of control, your time and your income, I jumped right into real estate. So I went from every 2 weeks to 100% commission, because real estate does not offer a level of
security.
Well, I won't say a level of security. It doesn't offer you a level of, in a sense, consistent income unless you make it that way.
Yeah.
So for me, there was no other option but to make it, right? It was no other option. And people ask, well, like, what was your motivator? Well, every day when I went home and I looked at my daughter, or when we were out showing houses and she was there with me, it was a constant reminder that this is going to work.
Yeah.
And because I have the background in accounting and the way that we did accounting, when a person came into our office and wanted to start a business, the first thing we would do is sit down and write a business plan. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what that's going to look like. Let's talk about where your customers are going to come from. So all of those things I had already thought about before I made the leap. For some, I know it looked like, okay, this is a big leap and it's just a jump. But it was a calculated leap for me. And so I knew how I was going to, plan to make my money. And I just kind of, at that point, executed. And real estate is a relationship business, so I just built relationships. And so that's my origin and that's my why.
No, that was awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I know when people hear stories, I think they miss little nuggets that you had in there, but I love how you said either had to work or had to work. It's one or the other,
Yeah.
And I think I always understand the principle and having that mindset when it comes down to when we're jumping into entrepreneurship. You either got to work or got to work. Of course, you got to make little tweaks here and there, but the overall goal, the overall thing you're trying to accomplish, you can't deviate from that. So,
absolutely,
I want to applaud you for that.
Thank you.
That's good, man. So when you was on that journey, when you finally took that leap of faith out into the real estate space, being a consultant coach, if you will, did you have somebody who kind of helped take you under took you under their wing to help guide you and navigate through that process as you was on the journey?
Yes. So I'm very strategic about the choices that I make. So even when I went into being an accountant, I was careful not to go to one of the at the time it was the big three, because I didn't want to just be a number or a person in a space and they tell me, hey, you go over here and you do payroll. I was strategic in choosing a small community CPA firm so that I can learn everything, because of course they're going to give you everything. You're going to learn from answering the phones to, the highest level. So the same thing in real estate. I was careful about, the company that I chose to go with. And I considered them to be client friends of mine. So I knew that they would look out for me, and I knew that they would have my back. Yeah. And I knew that I could depend on them for what I needed. So to answer your question, yes, I was strategic about where I went, and I knew what I wanted from the beginning. So I always tell people, know what it is that you want. Don't go in blindsided or blind and allow the situation to control or shape you. Yeah. I knew what I wanted when I went in, and so I knew the questions to ask. I knew who to ask. Okay, well, can you show me, who's the best lender? Yeah. Can you tell me about this, this FHA, and who is this person, and how do I get into, some of these organizations or into these groups? So when you know what it is that you want, now you can strategize and you can ask the right questions and make sure that you position yourself to get what it is that you need. And so many times I see entrepreneurs go in blindly, or they go in because somebody said that they should do it. And even in those situations, know what it is that you want. At least have 3 things that you want to get. Big thing that, is out in the marketplace now, Airbnb or Turo, or what do you want to gain from it?
Right.
Why are you getting into it? So that, again, you can set yourself up, because it's your business. You control and shape how it's going to run and how it's going to benefit you. So the more you know, the better you can control what happens.
No, that's awesome. I love how you said that, 'cause, I think nowadays entrepreneurship is the thing to do. It's the it thing right now. Everyone wants to. I promise you, get Instagram, you scroll. My business is this, my business is that. Which I'm not knocking anybody, because I feel like everyone should have something they should be pursuing, and outside of work. But I think a lot of people miss, like you said, the work that goes into it.
Yes.
So I want to applaud you for that. So I do want to get into. So let's get into the present. So, do you currently still do? Are you still licensed as an agent?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
But
I'm a real estate investor, and I still, try to keep up on, what's happening, because real estate is that's my first love. When all else fails, I fall back to real estate.
All right, listen, it's a great, and Dawood, that's what he does too. So.
Okay, awesome.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So let's get into your business. So what are the top things you see newer entrepreneurs do financially when they start their business?
So the first thing, the top 3 things, is they don't have a plan. They don't have a number. They don't know what the number is. So they'll say, I want to have financial freedom. What's that number? How much is that? And you get the deer in the headlight look. I don't know. Well, if you can quantify it, now you can break it down, and it's more achievable. What do you need per quarter, per week? But that's the first mistake, is that they don't have a plan, and which means that they don't have a number. So you don't know what you're working towards. The second thing is that they mix and they commingle their personal and their business, because the business hasn't quite made money, and so they are still funding it from their personal. But it's very, very, very important to not commingle those and make it look like a business. I always say, if you want to be treated like a business, you got to act like a business. So separate. So separate those. You don't need to understand, Sarah. So separate those. That activity. And even if you don't have a business credit card, or you have to open up a personal account, make sure that the business activity is all on its own, and that it's clear what funds you are loaning to the business or adding to the business, but do not mix the two. And the last thing is that they don't have a financial plan. They're just out here kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall. And that just kind of goes back to you don't know what it is that you're really working towards, so you don't know what services and products that you need to offer, and you're not tracking your numbers, so you don't know what's working and what's not, what's profitable and what's not. You're just you price things however you price them, because somebody said that $2 was a good price. Well, Dawood, he has his priced at that, and I don't want to, seem like mine is too high, and I don't want to seem like it's too low. Well, one, you don't know what his costs are that are involved. So you can't price it based off of what your competitor or what somebody else is doing, unless you know all of the costs. And so there's no structure for profitability. So again, it really just goes back to the plan. It goes back to, what do you need, and how do you plan to get it?
No, that's good right there. So let me ask you this. With that being said, because our audience is comprised of new entrepreneurs, and I really believe right now they're probably shaking their heads like, I don't know my number or whatnot. What are some of the ways that you would recommend for them to get to knowing their numbers, to get to knowing their analytics when it comes to the business or whatnot?
So we're not even I'm not even talking analytics. I'm not even talking about like some of the hard stuff analytics.
Yeah.
What is your number? Is you can start with, what does it take me to live? How much do you need in order for you to handle your monthly expenses? What does that look like? What does it look like to handle the business expenses? Yeah. Now add at least 25% for business growth. It's another thing that they mistake is that there's no added amount in for business growth. So when it comes time for you to invest in, business development, leadership development, professional development, there's no money. Why isn't there any money? Because you didn't build it into your pricing. So add in 25% for business growth and at least another 20% for profit. You have to build in profit. So I say give your dollars a direction, right? Every dollar that comes in, you ought to know where it's going. 20% goes here for me for living expenses, 15% goes here, another percentage goes here. But you know when it comes in where it's going, and you can direct them and know when it's time to scale back. How do you know that the discount that you're giving is an appropriate discount to cover your expenses if you don't know what you have in the number to begin with? So at least start with, what do you need to live? What does the business need to operate? Add an amount for a reasonable amount for business growth and add an amount for profit. And that's saying, let me just kind of get this. I'm going to step on the soapbox for a second. Know your value, then add tax. I say no, do not add tax because tax goes to somebody else. Know your worth and add profit because the profit is for you and your business and you can operate from that. Tax is an expense. It's going to go outside of the business. Don't add tax. We're trying to figure out at some point, we're trying to strategize so that we can lessen our taxes. So I don't want to add that to my numbers or to my value. I want to know my value and add profit.
I like that.
I love that. That might be the title episode right away.
A lot of bars, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of bars. No. And I promise you for Christmas, I want I'm one of those bomb droppers like Funk Flex has. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm blessed for Christmas. That's what I want. Because that was a whole gem right there. So, that was real good. I think a lot of us don't, because, we heard the adage, like, add text or whatnot. I like that. I'm still in that, by the way. That was good. But and I think that a lot of us don't think about the whole aspect of when it comes down, like you said, the basics. I think it's the basics at this point. Have a business account. Know what your goals are or whatnot. And so let me ask you this. With that being said, what are some more things that a newly formed business or newer entrepreneurs should know in order to scale or get their business going? Person, now you say scale. Scaling and starting two different things.
Absolutely. So mindset, like you can't do a lot without having the proper mindset. So you can be taught anything. Like I can teach you the skill of starting a podcast, starting a t-shirt business. I can teach you the skills. I can give you the resources of where to go, who to contact. But what I can't do is I can't structure your mindset to keep going when things get hard, to encourage you to say, hey, the first 3 to 6 months, you may not make any money. So what are you going to do? How are you going to keep going? When motivation is not enough, your mindset has to be strong enough to take over. And I am the type of coach and consultant that I'm backing myself out of a position. I don't want to be attached to you and holding your hand forever.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to stand on your own because I'm not going to call you and make sure that you did the thing that you said that you wanted to do. This is what you said you wanted to do. You have to be anchored in it enough to know that when all else fails, this has got to work. or this has got to work.
Right.
And if it's not going to work, then what do I need to do to pivot?
Yeah.
So mindset is key. If your mindset isn't right, if you still got money trauma and money stories that you're connected to that isn't serving you well, work on those. Invest in your mindset first, because all of this other stuff is easy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: so would you recommend for someone starting out to get mentorship, to get a coach, to join a mastermind per se?
Absolutely. I would say get all of those or one of those: a mentorship, a coach, a mastermind. But again, you got to know what it is that you want and what you need. You have to be honest with yourself about what my struggles are, what my capacity is in terms of time and energy. If you know that I'm not the type of person that gets up in the morning and I'm not a morning person, then don't join a mastermind that's first thing in the morning, because then when you don't show up, they're going to make you feel bad, right? Because that's their model. It's a morning model. So they're going to make you feel bad because you didn't get up in the morning to do this morning ritual, but you're productive in the afternoon. Find what works for you. So you have to be honest with yourself about what it is that you need so that you can go out and get what you want. Again, I'm all about me first. Let me control my own narrative, and then let me fit everything else around that. I can build, because the reason that I started this is for freedom. I don't want to be bound to what you told me I should do. I don't want to be bound to what works for you. I want to know what it is that I need and say, hey, here's what I need. Are you able to help?
Yeah.
Instead of, okay, I think I need this, and now I'm doing it your way. I've invested time, or I've invested money, and I'm still where I was.
I got a question as well. So I know early on you kind of spoke about your transition, and some of the things that you learned at your job. How important would you say it is for someone to, before they just completely jump out there, grow maybe at an employer or build something on the side while they still maybe have the job as, a safety net? A lot of people look at that as a bad thing. Would you say that is a strategic way of approaching business initially until you can work your way out, or what would be your insight on that?
So I'm going to lean in real close. I'm going to lean in real close and stick with me. Do not quit your job to jump into entrepreneurship and you don't know what you're doing. You are in purpose no matter where you go. You are on assignment at your job. So if you are unhappy, check your purpose. Check yourself to figure out, why am I unhappy? What am I doing wrong? Because a chair is a chair. Doesn't matter if I stand on it to change a light bulb, or I hang my coat on there and some laundry because I just don't feel like folding it. A chair's purpose stays the same. So if you are on assignment at your job and you're unhappy, it's you. So let's start there. Do not quit your job unless you know your number. So you ought to have enough in your account to cover what your number is for the time frame that you've projected that your business would make money. Now, if you haven't sat down and you haven't projected that I have 6 months before my business will turn a profit, then you shouldn't be quitting anyway. Because you don't know what you're doing. You just out there throwing spaghetti against the wall, and you probably saw somebody else or heard somebody else say that they were able to make it work. But what you don't know is that person was the top salesperson on their team at their job, and you have no sales experience. So you don't know what their experience, their background, or their motivation, their anchor. You don't know any of that. So don't compare yourself to what it is that they were able to do. Plan for yourself. So when you know your number and you know how long it's going to take, or you can predictably project how long it's going to take for you to get that number, then you have your exit plan. But until then, I say stay put and figure out how you are going to be in purpose on the assignment that you're given. Because the thing that you're taking to entrepreneurship is you. You're taking that to you. And not only are you taking you to entrepreneurship, now you're sharing a piece of you with everybody else. What are you sharing?
Okay, Karyn, I see you tonight. I see you doing your thing. That was good. That was real good. Okay. I like that. And you know what? You just dropping them just like little pieces here and there. I like that. Okay. So with that being said, let's bit of avatar, right? Let's say, because once again, our audience, thank you guys, by the way, for tuning in every week. A lot of you guys are aspiring entrepreneurs. You guys are either doing have a business as a side hustle from you're doing from 6 to 12 or whatnot, right? Versus when you got to get off. What do you say to those people who want to scale up their business, who want to take their business to the next level?
So again, plan. You're going to hear me say, if I say it one time, I'll say it 1,000 times. Plan. What does scaling look like? You cannot scale by yourself. You can't scale alone. So you have to figure out how you're going to build a team of people around you to help you to scale. One of my favorite shows is Shark Tank.
Love
right?
show.
And one of the things that they always talk about, like, you can have the best business idea, but if you can't figure out how to scale it, and you don't have, like, you're going in there and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Okay, but when you get burned out, what's going to happen? When you get sick, how's that going to how's that going to work out for you? If your business cannot run while you are not there, that is not a scaled business. So your plan for scaling should include, how do I build a well-oiled machine that could run without me there?
Powerful. I noticed that firsthand. It's a location on the west side. I won't say the name, but it's a donut place. Phenomenal donuts.
I've been trying to go there.
Yeah, and when they aren't there, the people who actually make the donuts, business completely stops. Doors are closed. And what they're doing is phenomenal. They have a line usually wrapped outside of the building when they're open. But sometimes they have to close early, or something comes up, or they got to go out of town, or somebody's sick, and business does not continue to thrive, even though the concept and what they're bringing to the marketplace is a huge one in need.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with you. If you don't have the right people around you that you can teach how to do the things that you're doing, it doesn't mean that they're going to replace you, but you kind of want them to. You want to be as hands off of your business as possible, as far as in the thick of all the things, so you can be the thinker to start taking it to the next level.
And I'm glad you brought that up. So 2 points I want to make there. The CEO of Krispy Kreme is not on the line making donuts.
Absolutely not.
Pick your favorite place. Whatever your favorite place is. They're not in the thick of it doing the work. We have to get in the mindset of being a CEO. That's true business ownership, right? What most of us are, and we use the term synonymously, what we are we're self-employed. We've given ourselves a job. In order to scale, you have to work yourself out of being an employee and position yourself to being the CEO who can strategize, who can now, you're not even managing people, you're managing processes, you're managing the vision of the organization. And so in order for us to get there, we have to be willing to relinquish that power and that authority that if I give somebody my recipe, that they're gonna steal it. Well, you probably need to talk to a trademark attorney and figure out what things that you need to get in place, NDA agreements or whatever that might look like, But you have to position yourself to now be the CEO, because 9 times out of 10, it can be done. We just have a fear of something that is holding us back, and we won't ask for help. There's so much help that's available from mentoring resources, from people just pointing you in the right place, but you have to ask for the help. You have to ask for the help. So don't be afraid to reposition yourself as the CEO, because if you truly want to scale, and if you truly want to be in business ownership, you want to be the CEO and not the employee.
It's powerful.
That is powerful.
Now, Brandon kind of hinted towards something on when we were talking about doing this interview today. He said you do some public speaking.
I do.
Hey, I love that.
I do.
So that is a space that I really enjoy as well. I mostly speak with youth, but I'm curious, and Brandon actually brought up the question as to what type of preparation as a speaker, because when I was here on our episode, we talked about how that is is the number one fear for most people is public speaking.
Terrifying.
So what would you say for you has been your superpower with either preparing to speak or just in totality of effective speaking to an audience?
So here's that thing. I'm going to go back to, you don't know a person's experience and their history, right? I'm comfortable speaking in front of people. Like, I speak, remember I told you I talked to my daughter while she was in the womb. So I'm speaking, and I tell people my claim to fame is my first stage appearance was at 5. I did a speech in kindergarten about O.J. Simpson. I still have the outline or the speech that was written out by my kindergarten teacher at 5 years old. So I'm not afraid to talk to people. I talk to people all the time. Yeah. When I'm out in public, I use people's names. So for me, it's not a barrier. Like, I'm not afraid to do it.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage people to do is to be you. If you don't have to speak. Speaking doesn't have to be a part of your business. You don't have to be a public speaker, right? If you're not good at sales, find somebody who is good at sales. If you want to be the person who is good at sales, then hire a coach or a mentor or a consultant to figure that piece out. But just remember, again, a lot of the people that you see that look like they're doing amazing on stage, you don't know their background that they came from. Like, you wouldn't have known that literally, I say I've been speaking since I was 5 years old. Like, you wouldn't know that. You see this confident person that can get on stage and can talk to anybody who's out in public and will, if I'm at a restaurant, this is a funny thing, I call it the big ask. I've been at a restaurant before, and I didn't want to pay for a full serving of something, but I wanted to taste it. Before a person would eat their food, I may say, "Excuse me, can I have one of those before?" What's the worst they can say is no, right? So I'm practicing the thing that either one I might not be good at, or the thing that I am good at that I want to take to another level. Just practice it, right? Everything is like data. Use everything like data. Just like everything that you do is data anyway. Yeah. You can talk on your phone about, I need a new mug or I need a new camera. And before you know it, you pick up your phone and what do you see? You see sales, right? So everything that you do anyway is data. So if you start to treat your life, your conversations as data, right? I'm just gathering data. How many times does it take me to ask somebody for some food and they say, how many yeses do I get? Now I might be able to use that as data, like, okay, out of every 10 asks, I'll get 2 yeses. So I know I need to ask 10 people to do something. That's so good. Practice what it is that you need for your business and be okay with being told no, because it's not the worst that can happen. Either it is a no because they don't have enough information or because they're not, they're not comfortable. But don't let one person's no stop you from getting to your yes.
That's good. I was going to tell my kids no all the time. It's for y'all to help y'all grow.
Right.
I love that you used the data component, because I think for, like with the audience that's watching now, as you're navigating through your space of entrepreneurship and, getting into the business space, or even at your job, you learn so much about, different industries, and most importantly, like you said earlier, you learn about yourself. Right? Me, working in a family restaurant very early on, me getting into leadership roles very early on, it taught me a lot about what I like and what I don't like, and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
But you never gather that data about yourself if you don't go through those experiences.
Right.
And when you're striving to, grow a business or become an entrepreneur, you can't be afraid to mess up. One of my biggest failures is when I got into trucking. I didn't do the proper due diligence on my truck, and it kept breaking down on me. So I learned a very hard lesson, but I could probably teach somebody everything not to do if you're looking to get into that same space now. So I think it's very important for all the viewers to really understand how important it is to gather that data on yourself and on the things that you're doing throughout your experience. Don't downplay anything that you experience throughout your journey, because there are lessons in all of those things.
That's good.
And don't take things personal. When you're in business, everything becomes data. Everything. Your frustrations, your no's, your yeses, your wins, everything becomes data that you can use, and it's historical data that you use to make data-driven decisions. There is absolutely no corporation that exists that doesn't use data. Public corporations on the S&P or in the stock market uses data in order to manipulate the market. Smaller private companies, they use data to figure out what pricing structure, what products are our best sellers, how do we know where to position things in the in the store. Everything is data. When somebody comments on a post that you don't like, and maybe they hurt your feelings, okay, what's the data? What data can I gather from this? Either what was the post about? Could I have reframed it differently? Or was that person just just here to do what it is that they do? Allow everything to be data that you track, that you can make a decision about whether or not you need to do something in your business differently, or whether you need to just, either do more of it, do less of it, or dump it all together. But let everything be data.
So I got a question, because you're a coach slash mentor, and right now I will say the field of coaching has opened up tremendously. I think there's a coach for every industry possible, right? With that being said, because you're a great coach, what do you think are the things that separate not the wannabes, let me say that, to the people who actually get effective results versus the people who just don't get the effective results, who do it for the gram, per se? So,
just a small correction. I'm more of a consultant, that's okay. I want people, and the reason that I said that is because I want people to understand that there's a difference between a consultant and a coach. So a coach is more of a hand-holding. I'm going to make sure that I bring out the best in you, motivate, give you assignments and all that. Consultant is more strategy. I'm going to tell you how you need to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
A coach is going to tell you what to do to get there, right? And so I do more high level, but I just have a natural coaching tendency because it's just natural for me. And I think what separates us from anybody, whether it's a wannabe, whether it is the thing that you'll hear, it's a unique selling proposition. It's unique. Nobody can say it like me. Somebody can do the exact same thing as me. Nobody is going to say it like me. Nobody is going to deliver it like me. Nobody is going to think about when I'm sitting across from you or when I'm doing a group program. Nobody is going to, in the moment, do those things that I would do. I can sit, and right now we're here, we've got 2 wines. How many wines can you think of? we all have on jackets. How many different jackets can you think of? We all have on shirts. How many different shirts can you think of? So there are absolutely different products and services that are allowed in the marketplace. Figure out your angle. Figure out what you do differently or better than your competition, right? And don't fall into the trap that my only competition is me. That's stupid. And the reason being is because every business has competition, and it's not to be intimidating. It's for you to understand. It shows that you understand the industry that you're in. Right. So for me to say that my only competition is me and act like there's no other consultants that's out there, then that means that I don't understand the industry that I'm in. And every profession, every career, every business has an industry. And that's one of those things that you learn when you have a plan. You look at SWOT analysis, or you look at different type of Porter's analysis, so that you look at the competition and you see what you do better, what you do differently, so that you can communicate that when somebody asks you, or you can communicate that when you are looking for your ideal client. I know that my person, Michelle is her name, that Michelle is a woman who's over 40, who has adult children, who has put everybody first in her life at some point, be it, husband, children, executive job, employees, and now she's at a point where she's not feeling fulfilled, but she wants to step out into entrepreneurship full time, but she's scared. She's scared because she's had the comfort of the job for her career for so long, and she can't quite figure out how to transfer her skills from her career over into entrepreneurship and make it make sense. That's Michelle. So I know when I'm in a crowd what to say to Michelle. I know how to recognize Michelle, right? I know what Michelle, kind of looks like. I know what she's probably driving. Like, before an event starts, I'm like, yep, that's probably Michelle. So when I go into an event, I need to go talk to Michelle and see and qualify her. Is this Michelle or not? So I would say what sets me apart and what will set you apart is knowing what your unique selling proposition is, and knowing what problem you're already solving. If you don't know what problem you're solving, there's no need for you.
Well, I got a question, because I think this is really, you hit on something so powerful, and I've heard this, through different levels of coaching. You talked about Michelle. How does someone identify their Michelle and their business? What are the components that helped you craft and mold Michelle? Was that you at a point in life that you said, I'm gonna give her a name, but I know this was my journey and experience? Or was there some different pieces to, identifying who Michelle was?
So initially, I was asked a question by a coach. If money was not exchanged and you could get the biggest transformation for a person, and you were only paid at the time that the transformation was made, what would you be able to do? So that determined what I had the capacity and the subject matter expertise in to be able to transform in a manner that a person would pay me only after they got the transformation. And then I started to shape from there. And what ended up happening is, yes, I ended up being Michelle, right? At some point in my life, I was Michelle, because I can speak to that. I know what she's going through, and I can connect and I can help her through that because I've navigated through that before. And it's not to say that whatever business that you're in, you have to have had that experience, but you have to know that you can add enough value to the transformation that you're seeking for the person that they're willing to pay you, and you can describe that in a manner of, this is who I know has the problem. And I kind of bring it to the level of, if you're a parent and your child is in a, in a big crowd, and you went and you said, you called their name or they called your name, would you know? Would you be able to distinguish that that's your person? Because sometimes we're going to be in a big room and we don't have time to go talking to everybody. So how do I identify? How do I ask the questions? What questions do I need to ask? What language do I need to be using to make sure that I'm getting to the right person? And you may not always get it right the first time. Like, Michelle evolved. Like, I didn't necessarily know who she was. I did some work and was like, yeah, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. And then I did it. It's like, oh, okay, I like this. I like seeing, this person go from here to here. That's how I ended up consultant, not coach. Because I would get so invested into a person's business and wanted to take them from A to Z, it was exhausting. And you care more about sometimes you care more about a person's business than they do. And I said, coaching is not for me. I can keep my coaching as one of my unique selling propositions, but coaching is not for me because it's draining. Gotcha. And in order for me to live the life that I'm designing, I can't be stressed, right? It has to be a good fit for me because this is my business. I get a chance to design. I don't want to get done coaching you and then I have to go see my therapist because you stressed me out.
Right.
That's good right there. That's real good. Okay, so I got a question. Because once again, I really believe there's someone who watches this right now and wants to say, well, I want to become a consultant. What will I need to do right now where I'm at in my life? What you say to that person?
What are your skills? Like, what do you already know? What's in your hand?
Ooh.
The lowest hanging fruit. What's in your hand that you have already done and you've already gotten transformation from? If you're a stay-at-home mom, you probably got some negotiation skills. You have some conflict resolution skills. How can you transfer that into somebody that you can identify that has this problem using your problem statement? I help this group of people to do this so that they can what? What's that transformation that you're going to take them through? So what's already in your hand that you don't have to go and get any more knowledge? Where can you start? And the thing is, oftentimes I think that we think we have to be 20 steps ahead. You just need to be one step ahead. That's it. You just need to be one step ahead of the person that you're trying to serve. And guess what? You know something that can help them to transform. And as you're transforming them, you're understanding what else they need. And then you can continue to grow from there. But it's something that's already in your hand that you can offer to somebody else, that you are one step ahead of where they are trying to be, and you can become a consultant.
Man,
starts with a plan. You gotta know what you gotta know what you have. You gotta know what you want. You gotta know where you're taking the person.
I don't think they heard you. Gotta say it one more time because you said you gotta be one step. You gotta be one step ahead. You have to be 10 steps, one step ahead.
One step.
I think that's a big misconception.
Yeah.
I would even say I felt falling victim to that same mindset. Is that in order for me to coach or consult in this space, I need to have this grand result. Like it needs to be X amount of dollars and all these, major achievements that I have to have first. Versus just saying, yo, I've done this. I know how to do it. I've done it multiple times.
Yeah.
And I have the capacity to now show somebody the same steps I took to get there. So that's huge. That's a big one.
There's over 7 billion people in the world. There's a group of people that you're one step ahead of. Where are they? Right? Call them out. If you're trying to do this, what's the transformation? If you're trying to get to here, because I know I can take you there, then come see me, because I can help you to get there. And then when they're ready, because you're constantly growing, right? When you're ready to take them to the next step, then you take them to the next step. And I always say, go deeper and not wider.
Ooh.
We oftentimes we want to offer so many different products and services, when if you just take me deeper, you got a customer for life.
I literally just heard somebody say
you go deeper into what it is that I need and service me, because I'm gonna get it from somewhere.
Yep.
I'm getting it from somewhere. Why not you if you're already servicing me? So go deeper and not wider. And going deeper is listening and learning. Once I get you into my fold and I get you into my system or my family or whatever you decide to call it, now I'm listening to what it is that you need so that I can go deeper.
Yeah, that's good.
And I can take you to that next step. And I can take you to that next step.
Yeah, that's a major fact right there.
Yeah.
Major fact.
All right, so we talked about the past, talked about the present, let's talk about the future. What do you have next up, coming up for the future for you?
So for me, what is next is I want to train and travel. So I'm at a stage in my life where my children are adults, and it's the world out there. I got a passport and suitcase, and I'm ready to go. But I want to do it in the manner where I can use it as a business expense and use it as a business write-off. So I want to train and travel wherever I want to go. I want to train on what it is that I do best, which is help people to plan for what it is that they want in their life. Think about what you want first, and then let's build a business and financial model around that to make it happen. And that's what's next for me. It's just training and traveling and enjoying this part 2 of life.
No, I love that. Okay, so ta-da! You get our new stable question. I'm trying it out, so we don't see how it goes. Okay. So one of the reasons why we started this podcast, because we have great people like yourself and Dawood who are in the city of Cleveland who are doing great things, right? But as we all know, our city unfortunately has the stigma that we don't like to help each other or collaborate with each other or try to pull each other up. Hence the public experience, right? What do you think are some of the ways that we as a city and as a community can be able to break that stigma?
So one, stop saying what it is that you don't want. Stop focusing on that thing, because what you focus on grows. So if you think that whatever you think, you're exactly right.
Okay.
If you think that there's no collaboration, you're right. If you think that there's collaboration, you're absolutely right. Because when you think a thing, you naturally will navigate in that manner. So let's go with lessen the amount of times that we say Cleveland does not have opportunities to collaborate, right? I can say that within the last probably 2 to 3 weeks, I know of at least 3 or 4 events that would negate that. One that's not even necessarily business related. The Ginn Academy won a state championship, and they had a parade, and there was community members that were down there. I'm certain that there were business people that attended that. That was a collaboration that happened. So there are oftentimes many collaborations that happen that you don't know about. Just because you don't know about them, or just because you're not in the fold, doesn't mean that they don't happen. Find out where they are. Ask. Social media is huge. Maybe you're not following the right people. Go out and find another group of people to network with. Go to the bank and ask them. They have usually community leaders. Go to the community center and ask. Go to SCORE. But first, stop saying the thing that you don't want to happen. Because you will naturally gravitate to that thing that you don't want to happen. It's going to continue. It's like when you buy that car that you never saw,
you see it everywhere.
And now you see it everywhere.
That's good.
Like, you know what? I never saw that many black Jeeps before, and now everywhere you see them.
That's good.
It's the same concept. If you think a thing, that's the thing. It's the thing.
Yeah.
If you want collaboration, ask yourself, how many times have you asked? Here's that data collection. How many times have you asked people to collaborate with you and they said no? Or did you just assume that they wouldn't, so you didn't ask?
Come on now, you just, I don't start calling you the bomb jumper. You just dropped them all night. Cause that was real good.
And I like that you started with words. You know, when I work with students, that's the first thing I start teaching them, the power of their words. So when you give that thing that you keep saying a ton of energy and you keep repeating it, it's going to become real in your life because you're speaking it into existence. All that we see around us started with words.
Absolutely.
So we gotta understand the power of creation through what we say, because sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be the reality of what's in front or what's out there in the world, but it will be our reality if we continue to speak it.
And what's the harm in creating it? If you don't see it, create it. And guess what? You're on episode 85?
You are 85.
Okay, so I'm 85. There are 84 other episodes with at least one person in that episode that you can start with. Now,
speak that.
Go through all 84 of those episodes and ask about collaboration and just collect data. But you got to know what you want. What do you want them to collaborate on? What value are you bringing? Right? What do you want from this collaboration? So you can't just go and say, hey, you want to collaborate. No, you want to collaborate? On what?
Well, right.
And
right.
for what? Like, I'm not in the business of meeting just to be meeting and just to collaborate just because I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
No. So 84. You got 84 episodes that you can go back and you can collect data and say, hey, I want to collaborate. Now you got data to say whether or not what you're saying has valid truth to it. If not, stop saying it because you don't even have enough data to support it.
For that to be the first answer to that question, that's the best answer we had this far. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so all right, and this is another question I ask everybody on the show because so just like shout out to David Shams, he said on his podcast. And I'm saying I stole it, but I said something like it. I borrowed it. But,
shamelessly steal, because Sam Walton did it.
Absolutely. But so I like to ask everybody what would they like the legacy to be when you are 20 years down the road, you're retired and everything. You're just you're in the fruits of your labor. What do you want your legacy to be for your business and then for you?
So here's the secret, and I say this all the time. I'm living my legacy right now. Each one of us is living a legacy right now, whether you want that to be it or not, right? You are leaving a footprint somewhere. My daughter is watching. You all are watching me on this show. So I am living my legacy right now. And I believe that before I leave it, I want to live it, whether it's financial or not. I want to enjoy, and now I'm leaving you the blueprint.
Yeah.
Knowledge once given cannot be taken away. That's the best legacy that you can live. Watch me do it. Work with me through it. And now you can repeat it no matter what.
That's good.
I want to hand you something because if I haven't showed you how to manage it and I haven't showed you if this happens to fall because technology is changing, I don't know what's going to be out 20 years from now. Like what we're doing now, I don't want to teach you how to survive. I want to teach you and set you up for success. Yeah. And too many times, like we've learned how to survive. Like our parents taught us, well, let me show you how to, cut wood, or let me show you how to do this. And that's survival mode. I want to set you up for success. So watch me live it. Because I'm going to live it.
Right.
And then let me walk you through it. Let me take you on the journey with me so you get the experiential learning. And that's the best legacy I can leave.
I ain't gonna lie. That's the best one I heard this one. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's good right there.
Two best back to back.
Right. She crushing it.
Right.
And then lastly, this is the most important one because I like to have practical things people can take away from the episode? And you've been jumping bomb like left and right like it's Baghdad, okay? What are 3 things you want someone to take away from the episode tonight? Because you cover so much.
Yeah, so the 3 things, if you didn't take away anything else, is to understand what you want. Block out all of the noise. Stop letting people should all over you. You should do this. What do you want?
I'm still in that too.
And when you know what it is, what you want, what is it going to take for you to get there? What is it going to take in terms of dollar-wise? So financially, what is it going to take? What is it going to take in terms of your energy? And what is it going to take in terms of collaborations and people? And then you'd say, what's in my hand? What do I already have for me to get started? So many times we think that we have to have more. Well, what do you have now that you can start with to take that next step to where you want to go? This is where you want to go.
Yeah.
So that's what I have.
Great answer.
I hope y'all got notebooks. Y'all pencil should be on fire right about now because she has just been hitting y'all left and right.
You know, always go back and replay it.
Exactly.
You know, one of my secrets when I would be around great speakers and leaders and coaches, I would put my phone on record. So if I miss something in note taking, because sometimes you get caught up in what they're saying and they just kind of like mesmerize you for a moment. You're like, dang, I ain't write that part down.
Yeah.
So I'll put my phone on record on the table in front of me.
Yeah.
So after I'm on my way home, I'll put it on play right in the car and just listen to it over again.
Yeah.
That's how the information sticks.
No, that's good. So how about this? We do even better. How can they reach so they can schedule a consultation with you?
So I am on all social media platforms at Karyn Jeneen, and that's Karyn with the Y. I'm not the Karyn Jeneen. I'm Karyn with the Y. Karyn Jeneen. You can find me on all social media platforms. If you go to reverseengineeryourgreatness.com, you can see all of my links to the different things. But again, know what it is that you want before you reach out. And then I have put together something very special for this audience. It's called Fresh Start.
Oh, okay.
Because you told me
about
what it is that, where your audience is.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this Fresh Start. It deals with mindset and it deals with business. And sometimes that's what we need. We just kind of need a fresh start. So if you are interested in learning more about what the Fresh Start is, DM me. You got to go to Instagram. DM me the word Fresh Start, and then I'll reach out to you and let you know what it's all about.
And listen, guys, so you guys don't have to get technical. I'm gonna have all in the show notes, so you don't have to go anywhere. It's gonna be right there, simple, boom. Fresh Start. Remember that, guys. Karyn, we can't thank you enough. This has been a great episode. And can we do episode 2? Maybe we might go a little when you come back from traveling. We can meet you maybe in Morocco or something like that.
Absolutely.
I foresee it, but I want to thank you once again for giving so much value tonight and just bless our audience. I told you it was a good episode, y'all. I told y'all. It was fire. It was fire. Episode 85, man. 85 episodes, y'all. We can't thank y'all enough once again. Coming out every week to come out and check out great people like Karyn and I will come in every time and giving y'all some great jewels that, man, you gotta pay for these things. You give us out free. You know what I'm saying? You can't beat that, So once again, we thank y'all again, and we'll see y'all next time. All right, peace, y'all.